Howdy, howdy, howdy. How's everyone doing? You notice this? We're starting right up at 7 o'clock. Last week I was running a little behind. I was dealing with traffic here in Houston and all kinds of stuff. So I said, all right, I'm going to get ready tonight. As soon as y'all are ready, I'm ready as well. So welcome to a Monday evening. Welcome to Cliff Notes Live. So glad all of y'all are out there. As always, I want to, and I need to start it off with an SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love the fellow reality fans around the world. I love all y'all that are coming out here and sitting in with me for a Monday evening to talk about all kinds of stuff. I kind of took some notes on, as I always do, but certainly anything y'all want to talk about, I'm game tonight. So y'all just let me know. Sitting here looking to see who all y'all quick on the draw, folks that showed up even before I did. Howdy to all of y'all. Let me just start from the beginning. Let's see. Just a little bit. I'll see that better. I'm trying to adjust my screen a little bit. I'm kind of bouncing around. I'm ups and downs, whatever. Parker, Ma, Amanda, David, Don. Let's see. Who am I missing out? Oh, Amanda as well. Howdy, how old of y'all? Cindy, Crosstack, Brian, Angie, Joshy. All my friends and buddies, welcome to every single one of y'all. I hope y'all are doing fantastic this evening. I got to get used to this. I was used to over the wintertime doing this show, and it's dark outside, and it just made sense for me to come indoors and be ready to talk to y'all in the evening and all. It doesn't quite feel like nighttime now. We're enough into I guess it's not summertime yet, but we're enough into the springtime and daylight savings time turning on or off, however you want to say it. But anyway, it's still bright outside. I feel like I need to be outside doing errands, things like that. I've been doing a lot of yard work. Man, we had that freeze a month or two ago and ruined a lot of our plants. So I've been digging stuff up and trying to just get ready for spring and all of that. So, hey, I'm glad I get to come inside and talk to y'all instead. This is so much better. So hope y'all are doing great. All right, while we're waiting for a few more people to come in, let me do as I always do, talk about some of our special days. Change this up a little bit. All right, so I got some good ones today. A little bit to do with the background and just general all-around fun as well. First of all, we celebrate a lot of days in here, and there's some fun ones. National Pizza Day, National Beer Day. Certainly, there's some that tickle my fancy to some degree. But today we got a fun one as well. Did y'all know? And if you don't, I am so happy to tell you, today is National Grilled Cheese Sandwich Day. Is that not just the most classic sandwich? Who doesn't like I guess if you're lactose intolerant or whatever. There may be some people that don't like grilled cheeses, but I'm not one of them. I love me some grilled cheese sandwiches. It's right up there with peanut butter and jellies. Hey, if I was in the Big Brother house and they said, yeah, we're getting rid of the slop, we're going to just put you on 24-hour grilled cheese sandwiches instead, I'd be the first one raising my hand. That would beat a lot of what we had in that. Well, I don't know. I eat pretty well in that house, but now I love me some grilled cheeses. Always have, and I know while we were inside the house, I did. Let me change my comments. While we're in the house, I fixed some grilled cheeses. Mainly, we had a little toaster oven. I'd put it in there with a little ham and I don't know, whatever you want. I wanted to amp it up a little bit while I was in there, but I ate a lot of sandwiches while I was in the house. That was easy. Every year, and I went in saying, oh, you know what, maybe I'll cook some fancy stuff while I'm in here and show off a little bit, because I know how to cook a few fancy things. But at the end of the day, we had a few people in there who really wanted to control the cooking and show off their cooking skills a little bit. So I let them do it, and I fixed my sandwiches for lunches and dinners. I had my breakfast in the morning, and all was good. It was a lot of fun. But kind of getting off on a tangent. But I was a grilled cheese fan even before I went into that Big Brother house, to the point, and I don't know how many of you have heard about this little life hack. If you haven't already, I'm going to tell it to you. When I was in college, I lived in the dorms for quite a few years, and we didn't have cooking stoves or anything inside the rooms that could create a lot of power. Heck, I guess we had little microwaves, but that was it. But because of that, I had to have my grilled cheese sandwiches. So I quickly learned that while I didn't have an oven or a grill inside my room, I did have an iron. The iron like you iron your clothes with and everything else. And all it takes for a grilled cheese sandwich is you make your sandwich. We did have little mini fridges. So you make your sandwich, your cheese and mayonnaise and bread and all that. Then just put a little aluminum foil on both sides of it. Take that old iron and get it all nice and hot. Then you just push on that aluminum foil. You hold it down. You let it cook. Oh, it's perfect. You open up that aluminum foil. The cheese is melted and steaming everywhere, and it is absolutely perfect. Now, a little hint to you. Make sure you use the aluminum foil. If you put that iron straight on the sandwich, you may get some interesting grill marks. You may also get a little cheese on the surface of that iron, and it's not going to make your roommate happy at all when he then goes to iron his very nice, fancy, going out to party Friday night shirt and discovers that his roommate just used it to make a grilled cheese sandwich. So, you know, you got to be a little careful. You got to take care of business. But yeah, I ate a lot of grilled cheeses like that over the years. And I know for a while there were people who would always say, how are you getting all these sandwiches? Because I'm walking the halls with grilled cheeses and such. Say, how are you cooking all these things? Are you going down to the dining hall? No, I'm doing it right here. Heck, I could have had my own version of a food truck, except instead of actually having a truck, just set up a little window outside my dorm room and just sell all kinds of fancy grilled cheeses and everything. You know what? As a college student, there's a lot of innovation that goes on, a lot of hacking around and figuring out different ways to do things. And a grilled cheese was certainly one of them. So there's my ode to the grilled cheese sandwich for those of y'all who love them and are now hopefully wanting to go get a grilled cheese sandwich of your own just as soon as we finish the show tonight. You can wait an hour, right? Stick with me for an hour and then go get your grilled cheese sandwiches. So anyway, there's the grilled cheese sandwiches. Now, the other thing that we've got going on that, as Ma points out, and I was going to mention this as well, National Pet Day. A lot of y'all have pets, and I've had a pet. I've got a dog right now, and I'd get her to come hop up here with me if I could, but I think she's enjoyed laying out all afternoon in the sun, and she's a little winded out now. Where's Daisy? Hey, Daisy. Come here. We'll see if she comes up here. I doubt she will. Come here. Come here. She's looking at me like, you're doing your show. What are you doing talking to me? Oh, well, we'll try it again. So I've got a dog, Daisy. She's a mutt. We picked her up from the Humane Society. Don't really know what her mix is or anything else, but she's a great dog. And that was kind of fun. I knew when I was inside that Big Brother house, I knew my wife and kids. Well, I hope my wife and kids were waiting for me when I knew they were. But I was really curious to see what my dog was going to do after being gone for so long. And I had this envision that I'd get home and she'd just jump all over me and just go crazy like you see in some of those YouTube videos. Not. I walked in, she acted as though I just had left the house yesterday and no big deal. So she was happy to see me. And later she came over and let me know that she was glad I was here and all that. But yeah, she's a very laid back dog. So for all of you who've got your pets, dogs, cats, snakes, hamsters, fish, really doesn't matter what it is. Go out and do something special for your pet because they deserve it. And Amanda? All right, Amanda's saying it's National Licorice Day. You know, licorice is one of those things that people people either like licorice or they don't. And I know for a while I would eat like that red licorice. And then I had people say, well, that's not really licorice. Those are what they call them, whips or something. That's not really licorice. The black stuff's the real licorice. I run hot and cold with that. There's times where I have no desire to eat it, but every once in a while I'll throw it in my mouth. It's got just that, it's not a bitter taste, is it? It's just a very sharp taste. It's different than the other candy you eat, right? So I've had I eat those licorices every once in a while. But again, I gotta be in the right mood. Crosstrack saying my dog goes nuts when I leave the house for 5 minutes. I love it. Yeah, ours is like that most of the time. Shit. If there was ever a reason to believe in ESP and talk to Kat. Kat spent my whole season talking about conspiracies and paranormal and everything else. But if there's ever a reason to believe in ESP, it's based on how my dog responds to me and how most of y'all's pets respond to y'all. There's just something, they get you, right? There are many times when I've come home and as soon as I open the car door, I can hear Daisy in the backyard barking because she knows I'm home. She recognizes, I guess she can hear the way I walk or something else. But they're always there when you need them to be there to cheer you up or to run around, have some fun. Pets are so wonderful. So have that. All right, let's move on from national days. Unless y'all got some other ones, and let me know. This is a great one. But let's talk about this day in history. And Parker is saying today in 1945, Franklin Roosevelt passed away in Georgia. I didn't know that, Parker. I think I maybe knew he passed away today. I had no clue it was in Georgia. Anything else? You figure how tough that was. And that was before my time. I'm a little older than some of y'all, but not that old. But y'all picture, we're fighting this big war. We've we beat the Germans. We're debating if we're, what's going to happen with Japan, facing all kinds of losses and everything. And right in the middle of it, we lose our president, who's been president for forever. He had what, 3 or 4 terms, 12 years, 13 years as president. We lose the guy who's been the controlling guy in charge of everything throughout the whole war, and suddenly he's gone, and Truman comes in and all of that. I imagine that was a little tough back then. But hey, Truman did what had to be done, and we won the war and had a big economic prosperity and all that. So, all right, it's not a celebration they died, but certainly worth remembering that this day Franklin Delano Roosevelt died. Served as president longer than anyone else in the entire history of the United States, because we passed the constitutional amendment right after that saying you can only serve 2 terms and then you're done. I think that's probably a good idea. We don't want anyone to be president for too long, right? All right, another day in history I want to talk about. And this one has something to do with the background on me. Did y'all know on this day, April 12th, 1981, the USS Space Shuttle Columbia took its very first flight up in space. It's the first space shuttle at all. I think we had the Enterprise had practiced landing, came off a 747 and came down to land. But the Columbia on this day was the first day that the shuttle actually came up into space, took off on its own, circled around, I think 36 times or something, came in for a landing. There are only 2 astronauts, just to make sure everything was going okay before they got a little fancier with it over the years. But it's been 40 years since the first shuttle took off. That's amazing. I remember watching that first shuttle. It was so exciting because we were so used to the rockets. It just shot straight up and then came down with the parachutes, and suddenly had one coming down like a plane. It was crazy. Amanda Sanders, the year I was born. Well, yeah, banner year, Amanda, 1981. So, yeah, it was the first space shuttle. Now, the Columbia was the very first space shuttle to go into space. Columbia is also the one that disintegrated as it was trying to land, disintegrated all over Texas. I've told the story before about kind of that day with me and how we learned about, had a bunch of Boy Scouts with us and all. So it was kind of the beginning of the space shuttle program, and it was kind of the end of the space shuttle program as well, because after that disintegrated, it's when they decided to cancel the space shuttle and go with some of the systems that we're working with now, which I'm so excited about. So there you go. So the space shuttle 40 years ago, but just like they do in those infomercials. But there's more. That's not all. On the very same day, 20 years earlier, so 60 years ago, the very first manned spaceship went up into space. Y'all realize that 61 years ago, no man had been in space. 60 years ago, the Russians shot up the Vostok 1. You can say it like a Russian accent, Vostok. Give me a little vodka, I'd say Vostok 1. The Vostok went up into space with, I think, Yuri Gagarin, something like that. The first astronaut ever went up into space 60 years ago. And look at us now. And that's why I've got the background behind me, because just the idea that we started 60 years ago, isn't that long ago? And now this thing is just not too far from where I live here in Houston. The Houston Spaceport used to be an airport. Now they're turning it into a spaceport. And it is so cool that somewhere down the road, there are going to be spaceships taking off from just not too far from my neighborhood. This thing here, they're going to take off like an airplane. Once they get out over the Gulf of Mexico, they're going to change their configuration. So instead of flying like a plane, they'll suddenly point straight up and then kick in their rockets and take off like a spacecraft. And then they'll come back and they'll land at the spaceport as well. So yeah, this is the Houston Spaceport. This is a picture. It isn't a drawing. And they've got all the neon that lights up every night and advertising, and they're actually building it. I drive by there and walk by there and see this thing all the time. So isn't that cool? Isn't it cool that, but in our time, all of us on here, in our time, we're probably going to see someone walk on Mars and radio back saying, hey guys, I landed. I'm okay now. Get me back home. Because that's part of the equation too, right? So yeah, it's, y'all know me. I did the, inside the Big Brother house, I did the recreation of the moon landing. I had a blast making a little space helmet for myself and Orwell out of cereal boxes and all of that. So yeah, I had fun. Now, yeah, and Angie's told me before about the Apollo 11 documentary on Netflix. I got a show from Netflix I'm going to talk about binging. I maybe should have done Apollo 11 first, because it wouldn't have given me as many creepy feelings. I would have been excited. I love the space show. So now, Angie, I haven't seen it yet. just not enough hours in the day. But yeah, I need to watch that and see what's going on. All right, Parker's saying in today in 1955, the polio vaccine was declared safe and effective. That was huge. Y'all seen those pictures of kids in the iron lungs? They can't move because of paralysis and all of that from polio. Such a horrible thing that they dealt with back then. I remember when I was a kid, we had to take a little polio, but it wasn't a shot. It's like a sugar cube they gave us with the polio stuff, medicine mixed in with it. But yeah, a virus, a disease that we've never even had to worry about. Isn't that cool? And then Cindy's talking about Sputnik. Yeah, that was a Russian program. Man, back in the day, the Russians and the Americans, we were involved in that space war and pushing each other along. I know we landed on the moon so much faster than if it had just been us. And now we're going to have ready to have a space race with the Chinese, I think, as well, because they're really getting to it in terms of sending folks up to the moon and in space and everything else. So yeah, that'll be fun. Now, Angie saying Big Brother outer space or Big Brother US out in space. When you get evicted from that house, you're in for a world of hurt, right? And I don't know exactly how they do the battle back competition. What would they do? Put you, if you get booted out of the main capsule, they put you over in a little lonely, old, cold, dank, dark place that you have to just hang out. And if you're lucky enough, you can fight your way back in. If not, I don't know, they just pull the switch and you float down into Earth. And I don't know, they give interviews on the way down or something. I don't remember. But yeah, it's yeah, someday. Yeah, no, they've already talked about reality shows taking place in space, or at least Elon Musk and some of the others, Richard Branson, have talked about reality shows where the winner of the reality show gets to go up into space, ride around on a spaceship or something. That'd be cool. Now, here's a question for you. If you could do a game show, so let's just say Big Brother for the sake of, because I'm partial to Big Brother. If you could do Big Brother and they said, okay, here's the thing. If you win, you get two options. You either get $500,000 or you get to go up into space and be an astronaut for a few weeks and circle around the Earth. And heck, we'll throw in a spacewalk just to make it worthwhile. Yeah. What do you say? Which one do you choose? That'd be tough, right? I mean, obviously being an astronaut is a once in a lifetime experience. How do you ever beat that? And yes, it would be cool for me to, if I had won Big Brother, it would be cool for me to walk around and say, I won Big Brother 21. Look at me. But how much more cool would it be to walk around and say, I've been up in space, floated around. I did a spacewalk and ate Jello floating in the middle of the air and everything like you see on TV. I'm an astronaut. No big deal, right? Pretty big deal. That'd be a lot of fun. There's a part of me that thinks just for the security of my family and all that, I'd maybe still have to take the money, but I'd have to think about it for a little bit as well, because that would be such a cool experience. Now, I'd probably be the one that'd say, yeah, no, take the money. Give me the astronaut experience. They'd launch me up in space. I'd get space sickness. I'd be queasy and I'd just be over in the corner the whole time. They'd just give me home. I can't believe I gave up $500,000. It'd still be a cool experience, right? All right. Lauren O saying, I love watching the launches. Would love to see one in person. Lauren, it is the most incredible. I got to see one in person. We actually, because I live here in Houston, so we in the part of Houston where a lot of the astronauts live, and so there was an astronaut by the name of Lockhart, was Paul Lockhart, and he was a shuttle commander, and he and my daughter were in a Girl Scout troop together. They knew each other, so anyway, we got invited to go to the launch, and we drove all the way over to Kennedy Space Center in Florida, sat around. We were all ready to watch it. They scrubbed the first night. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they scrubbed it. We're going to miss it. They said, we're going to try again in 24 hours. So we waited till the next night, which I think was a Saturday night or something. Waited till the next night, and it didn't scrub. It took off, and it was the last nighttime flight they ever had of a shuttle, and it was amazing. We were right there with the astronaut families and the press and everyone. We were about as close as you could get, and it was so loud. And you watch on TV, and because the camera's following the spaceship, it doesn't look like it's going that fast. Man, it goes fast in real life. That thing's just taking off like a Roman candle. You see that burn up in the clouds forever and ever, and then it's done. It was the most amazing experience. It was also a lot of fun because we spent the whole day at Kennedy Space Center and walked around and saw all the sights and everything as they're getting ready for the launch. So yeah, it was a blast. It was certainly a once in a lifetime experience, but I hope I get to do it again somewhere down the road. Chickadee Kenny, going to space to skydive back down. Woohoo! I wouldn't mind doing that once, maybe not more than once, but one of these days, maybe. I think it'd be fun. Hey, we saw him on a challenge do some skydiving. We're going to talk about challenge in a second. So I'd love to do that. Yeah, Chickadee Kenny, that would be a little interesting coming down. Now, going up to space and then skydiving with a parachute. I don't know if y'all have seen, they have some of these people that go so far up in space and then they skydive with the special parachutes and they're wearing full gear because it's freezing cold up there. I don't know, 50,000 feet or something like that. It's not like on a challenge where they just go up 5,000 feet and jump out, which would be pretty cool as well. But there's a lot of daredevils in this world doing some crazy stuff with parachutes and spaceships and everything else. And Parker's saying, yeah, 500,000 a change for me and my family's life's tremendous. I'm kind of thinking the same thing. There's a part of me that says, yeah, who cares about money? Well, I care about money. At the end of the day, you got to care about money a little bit, right? So yeah, I'd probably take the 500K too, but I'd love to be an astronaut. That'd be pretty cool. Don saying, who are you rooting for in Big Brother Canada? All right, Don, here's my deep, dark secret that only those of y'all out here watching are going to learn probably. I'm not watching it. And it's not because I don't want to. And I watched the first few weeks. But I just got so far behind and I haven't gotten caught back up yet. And it is so hard because I'm on social media, Instagram, Twitter, all of them, Reddit and all. And it is so hard to just try not to read all of the things that are happening, the live feed updates and all. And I read some of them. It's not that I don't know what's going on, but I'm trying to avoid it as much as I can. And I'm just going to have to find one weekend and sit down from start to finish and just catch up on all these episodes because I keep hearing all these people talking about how amazing this season has been. The cast has been a lot of fun. I know they had the double eviction. I've heard about invisible HOHs and all kinds of interesting twists. So again, it's not that I don't care. It's not that I'm not interested. It's just my list, as much as I want to see things, there's other things that just keep getting added up to the top. Life in general happens sometimes, and that's where we're at. But yeah, originally I was going to try to watch all the episodes live. I was going to watch the live feeds, and I never could quite figure out the VPNs and how to get it to watch. And the picture quality was so miserable. A few times I tried it and I just forget this. I'll just wait. I'll watch it on YouTube or something when it comes out later. And so that's where I'm at. So now I don't know who I'm cheering for, Don. I'll put it this way. I'm not cheering against anyone. There's no one that started that season, unless there's someone who's coming to the house I don't know about. And I don't think that's the case. I kind of liked everyone that was in the house. They all had their own things that made me excited about them. And so again, I know a few people that got sent home, even though I maybe haven't officially watched those hours, but I don't know. We'll see. And then there may be people that have turned absolutely horrible, and you are saying, "Oh, how could you be cheering for that person, Cliff?" I don't know. If they've done something horrible, don't blame me. I just don't know yet because I've been trying to avoid it. And yeah, Don, once I get caught up, I will let y'all know out here, and I will let y'all know. And Don is saying that April 9th is Unicorn Day. Well, all right. Well, a few days back, I need to get a hold of Nicole and let her know. If it was Unicorn Day and she didn't know about it, she's going to be incredibly disappointed. I may have to lie to her a little bit and tell her it's this coming up Wednesday or something, just so I don't disappoint her too much. Because if there's anyone that wants to talk unicorns, it's Nicole, right? That's one of her many passions. So yeah, I need to check with her. We'll see. Angie talking about the money for me. Still have trauma from the Challenger in '86. Yeah, the Challenger was tough because the Challenger is one that blew up on the way up. And for those of you who don't know, there was a teacher on there. The first teacher going into space. So all the kids watching on TV and all, and that happened. Being an astronaut, it's not a risk-free adventure, right? It's not at all. Which, let me just go ahead and segue while I'm into that and talk about risk and astronauts and everything. I had the background on this, but that's not the only way I celebrated some of our space milestones that we're celebrating today. I also watched last night. Didn't plan on it, but I saw it broadcast, and it was so great. The Martian. Have y'all ever seen The Martian with Matt Damon's in there? Oh my gosh, the most amazing. It's a fantastic movie. The book is even better. The book is amazing because they go into so much more detail about an astronaut who accidentally gets left behind. Now, wouldn't that make you mad if someone lands, if a whole crew of astronauts land on the surface of Mars and then they take off and they just forget about you? Yeah, that's a little tough to I tell you what, the people who did that, they would never hear the end of it from me if I ever made it back to Earth. That's kind of an unforgivable little omission there to forget that you're not on the spaceship. the book and the movie go, there's a lot of reasons it happened. So it's not quite that cut and dried, but it's all about Matt Damon's accidentally left behind on the surface of Mars, and he has to survive until somehow they can launch a rescue mission and get him back to Earth. And it's such a, watch it if y'all haven't seen it, because it's amazing. Obviously it's fiction. We haven't gotten to Mars yet, but it's very much based on science, and for the most part it's fairly valid and real type stuff. So it really makes you think about what it would take to survive and the technology that goes on. It's really cool. All right, now Cindy, we'll change away, because I know y'all get me talking about space and I'll talk for a solid hour, and I know y'all probably don't want that, but we'll move on while we can. Cindy saying, am I going to watch a second season of The Circle? Yeah, I've heard it's coming on, and I certainly am planning on it. It's such an interesting change in the way things work, and I love the first season so much, and it's fun. I've talked to a few of the people that were on the first season of the Circle. Shuban was one of them. Chris Sapphire lives in Dallas, so he's a Texan, and so Joey Sasso was on TV Code doing some stuff. There were just some fun characters on the Circle season 1, right? So yeah, I'll certainly watch season 2 as well. And I know there's a Circle in a lot of other countries, France and Brazil, a lot of them, but I don't speak those languages, so that would not be an easy show to watch if they're not talking in the language, because it's not as though there's a whole lot of physical competitions and costumes and everything else. You're just talking back and forth through a computer. So you kind of have to understand the language when you're doing that. But yeah, I'll definitely watch The Circle when it comes back on. I keep talking about all these things I'm planning to watch. I can't even get caught up with the ones that are already watching. So I may be a little more eager than I'm actually have enough hours in the day, but yeah, I'll watch The Circle. The other one that's coming on, guys, if you aren't aware, is April 26th, Monday, I think, and that's Big Brother Australia. Now, that's a little harder to watch here in the States. I had to jump through some hoops and find it out there on the computer, on some channels where people store it and all. But it's already filmed. It's not like Big Brother Canada or US, where it's kind of a live thing and you watch it as it progresses. Over there, I think the people who are on the show, they've already filmed the whole thing, except maybe for the finale. And now they'll go in and they'll show it all over the next couple of months or whatever. But yeah, Big Brother Australia is kind of cool. I talked to some of the Australian Big Brother players from last season and know a few of them, and I'm planning to watch again. So that's April 26th. And again, do a search on Google, and you can probably figure out some ways to watch it, because I don't have any good advice. I just found it last year. Hopefully I can find it again this year. Yeah, Parker saying Big Brother Australia is coming up. The oldest contestant there is a 65-year-old woman. Yeah, it'd be nothing at all if I'm in there going against her. I have a feeling she is a badass. Yeah, you pull someone in that age, they don't just come in because they're just some little weak old granny type person. I bet she is going to surprise some people. I know who I'm going to be cheering for. That'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, that'll be neat. And Angie, watch the first episode of Race to the Center of the Earth. I watched the first couple of episodes. I'm still debating on it. I'm having fun watching it. Some of the it's not challenges. It's just a straight up race, but those folks are having to rappel off of mountains, and even worse, they're having to ascend mountains just straight up and down, 500-meter type mountains that are just a long way down, and lots of kayaking. I've done a lot of kayaking, canoeing in the past, so that doesn't scare me much. But the portaging, they're having to carry these things all through forest filled with sticker bushes and all, and it's and driving old Russian roads that aren't really roads; they're just cow paths with a bunch of potholes in between. So yeah, I'm still watching it, and I'm curious to see who's going to win the $1 million. But it's tough when you're doing a race like that, and they're teams of 3 people, and one person doesn't quite perform as well as you want them to. The emotions are coming into play. There's a few people they thought they didn't swim as much as well as they should, and all that. Anyone who can finish that race, mad props, mad respect to them. It's tough. There's nothing easy about that race at all. So we've got that. All right, and Lauren's saying, oh, hold on, Lauren. I just saw your comment and it went away about the documentary on the challenge. Oh, the Netflix documentary on the challenge was worth the watch. One more thing I got to add to my list. Yeah, I definitely need to watch that. And Paramount Plus, which used to be the CBS All Access, they've got the Challenge All Stars. And I haven't even watched a minute of that yet. I'm going to have to. I did not enough hours in the day. if I could just stop time, I'd do it and just watch TV, and I'd come back, turn the clock back on, and y'all all be saying, "Oh, Cliff, how'd you suddenly get hair that's a beard that goes down your knees and all your hair is gray, hopefully gray, or falling out or whatever?" It's because I spent the last 3 years watching reality TV trying to get caught up so I can talk to you guys. So yeah, there's so much to watch. All right, now with that being said, I'll take this moment. I was going to talk about it later, but it's worth talking about now. I did find a show on Netflix that I binged. And no, it's not Apollo 11. No, it's not the Challenge documentary. Shows that would probably leave you feeling so much more optimistic about life and refreshed and happy and smiles on your face. All of that, much more than the show that I binged watch on Netflix. But even with that, I'm still going to recommend it to y'all because I was so intrigued. Have y'all heard of The Serpent? The Serpent is a show. And Parker, I hope you get to talk to Kieran. He's a card. I've talked to Kieran. He is a card. That's from Big Brother Australia. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But The Serpent on Netflix is the most cringy, creepy mini series that I just watched every bit of it. It's all about, bear with me because it sounds horrific. It's first of all, it's all a true story. They say at the very beginning, everything is true. Some events have been changed a little bit to protect the victims. All dialogues imagined. You don't know exactly what went on, but it's a true story about a guy and his girlfriend in the 70s, primarily in Bangkok, Thailand, but all over Asia a little bit, who were drugging, and sometimes killing a lot of these 20-somethings that were all, they kept calling them hippies, and I guess that's what it was back in the 70s, mid-70s, that were traveling to Asia. You can go into Thailand and Nepal and India and all different parts of Asia, just kind of hitchhiking and staying in hostels and things like that and exploring Asia. And this couple would befriend them lots of times, drug them, steal their passports, traveler's checks, because that's what they were after, was the money and everything else. And then sometimes if they learn too much, they just kill them. I mean, yeah, doesn't that sound like just an uplifting and entertaining kind of show? It was, because, again, it was all true, and watching the way they were able to do it, it's just incredible. And I don't want to spoil too much, so I'm not going to give away the ending or anything else other than just to say it's just creepy. It's just amazing that they could get away with so much. And because you figure back in the 70s, we didn't have cell phones and all of that. It was, people would go over to the other half of the world and no one expected to hear from them for weeks or months at a time because we didn't have cell phones, and it was, not much in the way of communication. And so it was just way too easy for a lot of these people just to fall off the map, fall off the face of the earth, and people didn't always even know what country they may have been from or what country they were in and all of that. And so it's just the most intriguing miniseries I've seen, and the acting on it was just phenomenal. Oh, I'm gonna follow these people projects they do on down the road. I think this thing was on BBC America, or not BBC America. It was on BBC over in the UK, is who actually started this miniseries. It was so successful over there that Netflix bought it up and put it on their show. So anyway, I'm talking way too much about it, and y'all are saying, Cliff, he's got a dark streak in him to enjoy that show. And it's not like Better Call Saul or some of these shows that are kind of dealing with dark subjects, but there's a little bit of humor thrown in. There ain't no humor thrown into this one. This is like watching a documentary on Ted Bundy or something. I mean, you just cringe. You just go, how could people be so inhuman to do some of the things? So there you go, guys. Don't say I didn't warn you. You know what it reminded me of? When I watched Tiger King. And at the end, you just kind of feel like you maybe want to go wash your hands and take a shower, because you just feel a little cringy at some of the things that happen and some of the things that people are talking about and would be capable of. And take that and multiply it by about 100, and there's The Serpent over on Netflix. So yeah, it was. So there's my recommendation. It was 8 episodes. I binged watched it over a couple of days, a few hours here, a few hours there. And before I knew it, the thing was over. They may even be doing a second season, which, again, I don't want to give away the ending, but that's kind of interesting to think about as well. So yeah, there you go. That's my recommendation for the week for all of y'all guys out there. All right, now let's see what else. We talked about the challenge, but then I kind of backed off away from it again. I don't know how many of y'all are watching it, and I do my recaps, after the Wednesday night episodes and all that. It's good, and we're right at the end. If you haven't been watching it, but now you want to jump on board, I think it's okay. You don't really have to know that much from the past because we're down to the last 8 players, 4 men, 4 women. I think starting this Wednesday night, it's going to be the actual the finals where they figure out who's going to win, and we still don't know if one person wins or one man, one woman. I don't think any of that's been explained. Now there's some spoilers out there, but I've been avoiding those. But anyway, the finals are starting up. Man, last week was so interesting because it wasn't the finals yet, and yet they had to run 10 miles. They had one partner had to run 5 miles, find their other partner, and then run back another 5 miles. So 10 miles in total to win the challenge and kind of have control of the week, their version of the HOH and all that. It's a lot of running. I tell you what, I'd be a little winded by the time I got through running. Forget 10 miles. I'd be a little winded when I got through running 5 miles. I don't think I'd stop, but I'd certainly be huffing and a puffing. I'd be like the big bad wolf and the 3 little pigs. I'd be a huffing and a puffing. I'd be blowing everyone's house down just because I don't normally run 10 miles. But yeah, the challenge has always been about the physical competitions more so than mental competitions. And this past week was certainly that. They had some mental math puzzles that were, we'll just say a challenge is the name of the show, and a challenge, those math puzzles certainly were. There were some people that didn't do so well on that, and I don't want to spoil that show either, so I'll leave it at that. But yeah, if you haven't watched the challenge yet, watch it. And I'm happy to say there's still some Big Brother players in that house competing for the big prize. I'm always going to be cheering on my Big Brother former alumni and everything else that they're competing on these other shows. So yeah, there you go. The challenge has been a lot of fun this year. Let's see what else is going on. That's about it for me. What do y'all got going? Tell me what shows y'all are watching. Angie mentioned Apollo 11, and I also heard the challenge documentary from Lauren. So Tiger King was like a car wreck. I couldn't stop looking. I want my life back. Yeah, I kind of feel like the same way, Crosstrack. I'm glad I watched it. Can y'all believe that was only a year ago? Is just as I think I said this last week, just as the COVID pandemic was hitting in, all of a sudden we were all locking ourselves away and watching the Tiger King on TV. And now that seems like so long ago. And yet it's just a year. That's it. But yeah, I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I was able to talk to everyone about it. And I participated in the current events. And, you got to be on board with all of that and everything, it seems. But I don't really want to watch any more of it. If there's a season 2, will I watch it? Yeah, maybe. But I'm not going to be super excited about it. I've had my share of the Tiger King. It was okay with it. Deborah, where is the challenge on? The challenge is on MTV. And I had to think about that because I was just recorded. I've got a DVR. I just record it now, watch it later, and it's set up automatic. But yeah, it's on MTV Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central. Was it 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, I think. I know it's hard. The challenge and Tough as Nails are both on at the same time. And I've been watching Tough as Nails. Y'all know I like reality programs, right? Tough as Nails has been out at the same time. And they're just about done as well. They've got down to the final 4 people on that show. And I'm not going to spoil anything on there, but I always like Tough as Nails because the challenges they do are so real. It's not like get on a jet ski and take your clothes off or slip and slide across this mat while you're filling up a 6-foot tall beer stein or something. These are real challenges. Last week it was, take a bunch of sheetrock and gypsum board and cover all the walls and the ceiling and do as though you're doing the inside of a house. And, they have to work as a team. If they screw up, they have to go get more board. It's a real life. It's things that people actually do on a day in, day out basis. And that's what I've always enjoyed about Tough as Nails. So we've got that. All right. I do have one thing I almost forgot about. I want to remind y'all all. For those of you, and I know it's not everyone out there, for those of you who would like to try out Big Brother US and maybe get into that house. And again, I know some people like Angie have said, hey, chance in hell I'm doing Big Brother. But for those of you who are interested, the unofficial deadline to get your videos in, I believe is this week, like April 15th or 16th. Jesse Tannenbaum is the main casting guy. And I think he said, if you don't get on the 15th, it's the 16th, it's probably not the end of the world. But if you wait much more beyond the middle of April, you start running a risk that we won't have a chance to watch your video and get you in the house if you want to be in there. So For those of you who are just all about taking risk in life, and heck, even if you don't think you'd ever make it in the house, it's fun just to do the video. I mean, how cool would it be if you just said, I'm going to do it. They're not going to pick me, but just for fun, I'm going to do a video. And you send it in and you got a call back just out of the blue. And it's happened to this guy right here. So anyway, if you ever thought, just for the lark of it, just for the grins of it, I'd love to try out, hey, put your video together, send it in, and take a little risk with life. And anyway, but if you're going to do it, you got just a couple of days to do it. So think about how you can make yourself stand out from everyone else, and put your video together. And you never know. I'm excited. I watching, and I assume, I don't have any inside scoop, I assume that this season will be 16 new house guests, especially with them talking about wanting to increase the diversity and everything else. So I will fully expect this to be all new cast, and I'm going to be right there with y'all watching when they introduce all the people, and it's going to bring back so many of my memories. But it's going to be so fun immediately picking out who I want to cheer for, and who I think is going to be the problem people in the house, and who's going to be the silly people, the athletic people. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong in terms of making those assumptions, right? But it really doesn't depend on or come down to us. It comes down to everyone else in the house and how they interact with each other. But I'm going to be ready for Big Brother US. But first thing you got to do is try it, and they'll start doing the casting and all that. I can't go into a lot of detail about everything that involves casting, because I don't want to make the wrong people mad and all that. But it is interesting. Casting takes place from like, I went to my casting call towards the end of February, and so it starts real early. And Jesse was saying they pick people right up until just a week or two before the show starts. So in between, there's a lot of people doing a lot of talking and interviewing and video and all kinds of stuff to see who CBS and the producers want inside that house. It's just an amazing process. I've said before, I'd love to go back in the house, and that's true. I'd always go back in if asked, but I also really want to track down some of the casting people and the producers and all those kind of people. Once the show finally wraps up, of course, hopefully I'm a really old man by the time that happens, because I don't want it to go away. But once it does, I really want to track some of these people down and say, okay, now that it's over, spill your secrets. I want to know the inside scoop. I want to know what the crazy stuff y'all saw was with tryouts, what the most outrageous stunts were, what y'all think were mistakes, y'all's biggest, can't believe we got that person in the house, things. Wouldn't that be fun just to hear those stories? If I could do Lauren mentioned a documentary on a challenge. I would love to see a documentary done on Big Brother and the behind the scenes. Everyone would watch that, right? I think they would have more viewership watching that. Even people who say, I'm tired of Big Brother, or I don't like this or that. Everyone would watch just to see the behind the scenes. So I'm making my push for that. Y'all help me out. Y'all, anytime y'all talk to producers and all that, say, we need a documentary on Big Brother, because that would be a lot of fun. All right, I saw Dawn took off. Sorry, Dawn's probably already gone. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye, but have a great week, Dawn. All right, let's see. Talking about Tiger King. That's such a weird show, right? You never know what you're going to find on these. I remember as a kid, they had like 3 or 4 channels on TV. You watched whatever was on, because there weren't that many options. I remember on a Sunday night, they had like Hee Haw and Lawrence Welk ballroom dancing, and what was it, Animal Country, some show about animals. So we watched animals as, of course, it depends on who was in charge of the TV set. My grandparents liked the Lawrence Welk show. So, sometimes I didn't have a choice when I was over with them as well. But yeah, we had such limited viewing opportunities. Now, between TV with 400 channels and streaming services and everything else we've got, you never know what you're going to find. And I am the expert at finding the most exotic, weird, interesting, sometimes not so interesting stuff, but I watch it all. And so, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Cliff's going to be rooting for Dawn and me. Well, absolutely, Ma. Of course I am. It'll be a lot of fun. I'll be invested in, because I know y'all going into the house. Parker saying, was Lawrence Welk good? Well, I guess if you're 100 years old and you like ballroom dancing, not to say that everyone who likes ballroom dancing is 100 years old. I mean, look at Dancing with the Stars. Obviously, it's cool. I can't do it, but I like watching ballroom dancing. But Sunday night, you're an 8-year-old kid, and you're staying with your grandparents for the weekend and watching watching ballroom dancing and an orchestra may not be right at the top of your of what you want to watch on TV. But I watched that a few times while I was waiting for The Wonderful World of Disney to start, which was always a Sunday night show and everything else. So, no, I'm not going to say he wasn't. Yeah, Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom. Thank you so much, Cindy. I could not remember the name of that show it wasn't Merle Olsen, was it? Nah, it wasn't. That was the other guy. But the Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom it's not the Tiger King. It was just, that was the original documentary showing different animals, existing in the jungles of Africa and things like that. Oh, we loved Wild Kingdom. That was it. One of the very first shows I ever cried at as a kid was Born Free, about Elsa the Lion. I think I'm old movie. Born Free. I cried on that one. So there you go. But yeah, so Wild Kingdom was overtime. Thank you. I learned so much when I come into this show every evening. All right. Mother used to make us watch Lawrence Welk every weekend. Oh, you have my my sympathy, Jeffrey, but I understand. All right, let's see. What off-topic question. Bob So 18. Can you hear the other people vote when you're in the diary room halfway waiting for them? No, I never heard anyone else making their votes when we're casting, because normally as we would be waiting outside, and the production would always want to time it where they would cast their vote and then they would open up the door into the diary room and go into that hallway, and we were supposed to try to open our door about the same time so that we would pass each other in the hallway. And so even if your timing wasn't perfect, you still couldn't get down that hallway far enough before someone had already cast their vote. So no, I never heard anyone casting their votes. But I got to be honest, I don't know that I really listened or tried to listen to anyone casting their votes either, because I don't think there was a single time where by the time I'm walking down that hallway, that I didn't know who I was going to vote for. There weren't that many where it was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? When it came down to Sam versus Cat. Now there were some of those where it was right up to the last minute before knowing what I was going to do. And Nicole and I talked a lot about which way we were going to go on that vote. And there were a few others like that. Now, unfortunately, I was on the block so many times. There are a lot of times I didn't get a chance to cast my vote because I was on the block already. But no, I didn't really try to listen, because at that point I was just so focused on my vote and what I was going to do and thinking about the HOH competition later in the evening. But no one could really hear what was going on at that point in time. They just wouldn't let you go down the hall until the other vote had been cast. So yeah, not really, but very good question. That diary room that hallway's not that far away. And you would think you could hear a lot of things, but they've got a lot of that soundproof. That diary room's got soundproofing all up around it and everything. So yeah, it's not as easy as you may think just looking at that little hallway. Jeffrey said, I'm one of those people who may not watch Big Brother again. Last season is hard to watch. And maybe I'm just getting too old, 56. Hey, that ain't too old, Jeffrey. I hear you, brother. I see you, but that's not too old. But last season was not near as much chaos and excitement as I wanted. It was a little bit too predictable. Sometimes that happens. It's just the way it goes. I hope it doesn't happen again this year. And we've talked before, and as we get closer to Big Brother, I may even talk about some things I hope they do to stir things up a little bit, create a little less certainty like we saw last season. But it's not like they're watching and saying, oh, let's see what Cliff wants to do on Big Brother this year. But it'd still be cool, right? But now I'll watch it, even if it's a boring season or a less entertaining season. We'll just put it like that. I still like it because there's always, even if the gameplay some weeks isn't so exciting, you still get to watch such interesting personalities, right? Yeah, Lord knows I look at some people in my season and think, wow, there's some really interesting people in there. So yeah, it's I feel like there's always something to watch when I watch that show. If the characters aren't interesting, you've got the gameplay. If the gameplay is not interesting, you've got the characters, and rarely are they both out the door. So we've got that. All right, let's see what else, guys. I heard Cliff's going to be 56 soon. Yeah, Ma. Well, it beats the alternative, right? Yeah, I've got a birthday coming up, and that seems all right to me. I figure 56. That's middle age, right? I plan to live at least to 100, so I'm right there in the middle. I got 50 years ahead of me. That's plenty of time to go out and do all kinds of crazy things. Can you picture I'm going to be 100 years old and say, man, I remember 45, 50 years ago when I was on Big Brother, and my like great grandkids are going to say, "What's that, Dad?" Say, "Oh, it's a show that was on television." What's television? We're going to look at that like, oh, hey, I participated in a telegraph competition back when I was a kid. Yeah, I was a Pony Express rider back in the old days or something. They're going to say, well, TV, well, we got the virtual holograms and all of that. And I play Big Brother every year with 15 alternate reality people. And I don't know, who knows what we're going to have 50 years from now. But I'll still be bragging about the time I was on the show 50 years ago. And they'll say, oh, just leave Grandpa to talk about his days on. Yeah, we used to have networks on TV, and they just showed shows. And yeah, you could only watch it when it was on TV. It's not like now where you just pick whatever you want and the virtual reality show you everything. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens in 50 years. Hey, 50 years from now, y'all talked about Big Brother US. We may be having Big Brother Mars. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, that's a long cab ride back home after you get evicted from the Mars house, right? But you never know what we're going to get going ahead. All right, let's see. Cindy's saying that you're right up there with me, Cindy. Welcome to the club. Couldn't be a better age, man. I'm still a little bit athletic. I got a little wisdom in me as well. I feel like I've kind of got the best of all worlds. Now, maybe it makes it a little tough to compete against the Mickeys of the world in some of those competitions, but I'm going to give it my shot. I don't care. I'm still not so, I'm going to do everything I can for it. Josh is saying, what's a run through in the Big Brother house? People talked about it on Thursdays. All right, I can talk about that a little bit. On Thursdays for us, so eviction nights were on Thursdays. And we, there's a lot of production that goes on that we're not part of. So we would get sent up to the HOH room, locked inside the HOH room. And normally they'd play some music for us. I think I've said this before. They'd play a little music for us. And as long as you didn't talk about game, then they would play the music. If anyone started talking about game or strategy, anything like that, they'd shut the music off. And then everyone else would be mad at you. And you sure don't want that, especially right before evictions and HOHs and nominations the next day and all that. So there was no game talk that took place while we were up in the HOH room. But while we were locked upstairs, and they turned off the TV, so we couldn't see what was going on in the kitchen or living room or anything else. But while we were locked upstairs, I assume, because I never saw it, but I assume production people would come in and make sure the lights were set up just right and everything was clean the way they wanted and cameras were pointed the right way, furniture was set up, and whatever they do to make it a perfect Thursday night eviction episode. So we would stay up there for a little bit. But then the other thing we would do is we'd have a run through where they would say, okay, y'all come sit down. And normally we would sit on our couches. And lots of times it was kind of assigned where you'd sit. And we would have some nonsense vote. Superman or Batman, who do you vote to evict from the house? And they would have us go in and cast a vote, just a nonsense vote again. And it was just to make sure our microphones were set up correctly, set up so we knew the order of who was going into the diary room at which point. And I think, and I don't know this either, but I think it also had to do with the stage where Julie is and making sure that they had everything set up correctly there. I guess the speakers, the cameras, everything that goes into a production that we never had to worry about, but they used us as guinea pigs. So we would cast just a silly vote to make sure that everything was working correctly. And then that was it for us. That was it for a run through. It was just a practice vote. And then normally that would happen. Then they'd say, okay, now y'all get upstairs to the HOH room while we do our thing. So there you go. That's what a run through is, at least for our season. So not a lot to it. No big deal. Meg saying, the best tweet I saw last season was at my funeral. I want the BB-22 cast to lure me into the grave so they can let me down one last time. Wow. There's bitter people out there. All-Star season was not quite what I expected. It could have been. All it would have taken, that one HOH, if Devon had won that instead, was at Christmas. I mean, just the littlest thing could have changed. It could have flared that whole season up and been completely different. It just didn't work out. So it is what it is. That's the beauty of Big Brother, I suppose. When the producers do that show, they don't know what's going to happen. It's not like Survivor where they've got 39 days worth of filming, and then they can pick and choose what story edits they want, how to spin their stories. They got to decide on the fly with us because y'all are all watching it live, and sometimes things work out, sometimes the twists kind of fizzle out. It's just the nature of live TV, I guess. All right, let's see. Wow, 7:54. Wow, it goes quick these days. Who do you vote to evict, Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck? I'm trying to remember what some of the votes were. Some of them were, I remember the one that was big. Big controversy was zombies versus aliens. And Kat was very much for the aliens. I was very much for the zombies. And I feel like zombies won. I don't know. It'd be horrible, wouldn't it, if you expended all your energy to win the little silly vote and then you got burned afterwards. But yeah, they're always little silly votes like that. Best music, who do you vote to evict? And there'd be two singers or something like that, and we'd all celebrate. If you voted the right way, you always felt like you were doing okay. All right, Big Brother Mars, sign me up. Yeah, that'd be a lot of people wanting to do that. That'd be pretty cool. I see. That's the best way. Okay. And Lauren, no way Cliff's in his 50s. Well, thank you, Lauren. I hope you're not saying you never would believe I was that young. That I look a lot older now. Hopefully not. Zombies, of course. Yeah, that's kind of what I think, Cindy. You got to keep the zombies. They're one of us, right? You got to. Hey, I support the Big Brother folks in the challenge. Zombies are just kind of decaying us, right? So you got to cheer for them over the aliens from some other planet. Yeah, come on. Hey, Kat Dunn, she's cheering for the wrong side if she's cheering for the aliens. And we need to have this. Yeah, I think we'll not so worry much about those discussions. Kat has a whole lot of other conspiracies that we need to talk about first. Cliff's show feels like 20 or 30 minutes. Well, Ma, maybe it's just because I start talking and just go on. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes it feels like it for me too. I feel like just as soon as I start talking, it's time to shut her down and head on to the house. It was funny during my interviews. I was the same way. I can talk to anyone. So I during the tries, yeah, obviously, I'm not spilling any secrets to say we talked to a lot of people, and I'd get in front of people and I just start talking away. And I'm sure they're thinking, well, geez, we're not ever going to get this guy to shut up if we put him in the house. They may send him home first just because no one else can talk at all. We better make sure we got a microphone with a whole lot of batteries for this guy. So, but I don't know. It's just, when I get excited, I talk, and I was excited in Big Brother House, and I'm certainly excited talking to y'all as well. All right, let's see. You pitches, we'll leave it at your pitches conspiring against me. Kat, that was so funny. Kat was so brilliant on that. Oh, well, we're gonna have to shut it down here pretty good. Kat was so brilliant because for those of you who don't know, remember you didn't get the first week of live feeds, or the first week of us in the house. We're not on the live feeds. Kat was making people so paranoid because she was so paranoid. She was so nervous about what was happening, and people just didn't even want to be in the same room with her because she was questioning everyone about everything. And are y'all going after me? And there were a lot of people saying, we got to get her out of here because she's too paranoid. And she realized that. And she turned it around and she started coming in and saying, are you conspiring against me? And she did it as a joke. And after a while, because she started treating it as a joke, we started treating it as a joke. And suddenly she wasn't in as much danger as she originally was. She did a great job of being flexible and perceiving that that she wasn't maybe handling the pressure as well as she needed to. And she turned on a dime. She made it happen. And the rest is history. Now she has a saying that everyone talks about. She was so excited one night when Julie Chen mentioned that phrase, because as soon as that happened, she knew it was being talked about outside in the real world. And so she felt like she'd made her mark, that she kind of had her catchphrase out there. So congratulations to Kat. Kat's got that. I've got my SKD 143, which wasn't done to create a catchphrase. It's just so my wife and kids knew I was talking to them. But I still kind of like that it turned into a thing. So, and before the wife, you never know what's going to happen from those things until you get outside the house and you just start reading all the Twitter feeds and all that. Heck, he may spill secrets in the boat room. Production. For all I know, they went and woke Christy up and said, hey, we wanted to wake you up, make sure you knew that, hey, it's morning time. Good morning, Christy. I don't think they did. Other people would have heard if that was the case, but heck, for all I know, there was someone banging on the wall just to try to get someone to come in there and hear me. Whatever. Yes, it created some drama that I just soon not have been created. But hey, I'm there for the show. I told him going in, I hope I make good show for y'all. And And I asked them when I came out, I said, I didn't win, but I hope y'all enjoyed having me in there. And they're like, yeah, Cliff, you were fine in there. We had fun with you in there. Moss and did Cliff just swear? I hope not. I try to keep everything nice and avoid putting the dollars in the curse jar. But I have worked in the oil field, so there may have been a word that slipped by my lips once or twice. Coral Grief, hanging all those stuffed animals from the mobile. They didn't show the unedited defeat on there. You want to hear old Sailor Mouth? That was me on that. That was the hardest challenge. I was so frustrated. Oh my God, that drove me crazy. So yeah, y'all would have heard quite the salty language if you've gotten to see the unedited defeat. But for the most part, I try to be polite and make this a G-rated broadcast for everyone who would be interested in it. So. Yeah, but if I have to, I'll put a dollar in the swear jar every once in a while. All right, let's see. I guess this is about it, guys. We got to shut it down. Johnny, welcome back, but now I got to shut it down. So sorry about that. We are going to shut it down, guys. Y'all have a fantastic week. Again, if you want to be on Big Brother, you got just a few days to do that video and send it on in. And I'd love to be cheering for some of y'all. It'd be so much fun. Y'all have a great week. Let me wrap it up with a big old SKD 143. I love my wife, love my kids, love all of y'all out here. What a great way to start the week for me. So thank you. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for sharing a Monday evening with you. And now I can see it's dark outside. So now it feels like it's nighttime. So what a great way to finish up my Monday afternoon. Y'all have a great one, guys. Cheers, my friends. SKD 143 once again. I will see y'all next Monday. Or if you're watching the challenge Wednesday night, it's going to be a good one. Check for my recaps soon after as well. Cheers, guys. Have a great one. Bye. Well, if I can turn it off. Have a great one, guys. Bye.